the 2011 street protests and how Putin reads that. He's made the announcement he's going to run again, and the people hit the streets. It's the moment where Hillary says whatever she says, and he remembers it forever and ever and ever as the United States interfering with his policies.
Sakes. You know, it's all Stalin. And who organized this spontaneous applause for Anna Akhmatova? Yeah. The Russians have an inability to recognize that not everything is manipulation. Not everything is spin. Not everything is fakery. Not everything is a Potemkin village. There is reality out there. And Russian society has its own views. They're not going to be swayed by America. They're not going to be swayed by the Kremlin, ultimately. They're going to look around like people do everywhere. Nothing special about that. But I do believe Putin was somehow convinced that Hillary Clinton was behind this, and convinced that Toria Nuland was behind the Maidan, my colleague and successor as Assistant Secretary of State. Oh, just nonsense. Hillary Clinton is as the muse that inspires the Russian demonstrations? Give me a break. We don't have that power as Americans. All we have as Americans is the power of an ideal that we hold up and occasionally represent. But if people are taking to the street, they're doing it so because they want to, not because we tell them to.
The phone call that is wiretapped or whatever it is and then released. Talk to me about that. Why was that even anything anybody is still talking about?
If you're familiar with Toria's style, well, she has her own. And she's famous for it. That's the way she talks. But it was, to me, when I heard that, I just laughed. You think that European diplomats on the cell phone don't say similar things about the Americans and how difficult we can be? Of course they do. Of course they do. It means they're just letting off some steam and frustration. Big deal. Nobody cares.
So why did the Russians release it?
Because they wanted to embarrass her.
Why?
Well, I have a theory for which I have no evidence but simply observations. I've noticed that the Russians really have problems with strong, capable women. Think about it. Hillary Clinton, Toria Nuland, Angela Merkel, maybe Condi Rice too. It just seems to set them on edge that these women in positions of power who are deeply knowledgeable and intensely competent are able and have, in the Russian eyes, the effrontery to stand up to them and just hold their ground. I've noticed that, just sort of a pattern. And I think a lot of the women who have dealt with the Russian officialdom over the years, and there are a lot of senior American diplomats and others, like Madeleine Albright, who know the Russians well and are not going to be fooled. So I think they may have just wanted to slap her down.